Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. Hope you're having a fantastic day. So today we're finally going to change out the old clutch weights in the KRX that's nice and grooved with a brand new set. And for those of you wondering or following me on Instagram, you already know we're going to install a brand new set of JBS clutch weights. I've been waiting for a couple months for these. They're finally in stock and shipped out. So before we go ahead and install these, let's head over to the workbench. Let me show you what you get in the package, and let's go ahead and weigh these so you know what they weigh. So coming over here to the workbench, here is the old clutch weights, obviously, and if you're not familiar, I did post some pictures and showed previously. They have some nice grooves in them that you can see, and this is not a uncommon problem for the stock weights. And yes, I do have them numbered in their corresponding locations on the KRX. So here is the JBS clutch weights, which you will get in the box. Now these clutch weights have different areas to put weights. The ramp design is a little bit different, so let's go ahead and kind of show you what you're going to get. It's definitely more flat in this area versus this one is more arced. You're also going to get a set of screws or weights that you can add into these holes as needed, and we will be adding some of those. And then it does come with the spreader bolts. Now, for those wondering, I went ahead, I grabbed the kitchen scale, don't tell my wife. Let's just measure one of these stock clutch weights. And it is 84. Let's measure another one just to see if they're the same. 84, okay. Now I did measure all these, and these are all the same for the JBS. And they're coming in at 78. So that is what you get in the box. Nothing real exciting, but let's go ahead. Let me show you how I'm going to set mine up per JBS's instructions. We'll give them a machine and do a nice test drive. Now, I cannot do a long-term review because I'm only going to do probably 4 or 5 miles with these weights to make sure it's set up for myself. Now, the setup that we're going to do today is for a 35-inch tall tire on my vehicle, but they're willing to help you and they will tell you exactly how to set it up for stock tires, sand tires, whatever you need. And then obviously you're going to be able to fine tune it yourself. So I will not be putting the big plastic clutch cover on today. I'm just going to put the housing back in. So to set these up, let me show you how we're going to do it. All right, setting these up is going to be fairly easy for the initial setup. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out all the weights. Now if you're curious, these are hardened and then they're tungsten coated, I believe, more towards the end. You can see this heat treatment a little bit more unlike this one, the discoloration. But I'm going to label these 1, 2, 3, and 4 so that when I do pull them out, I can verify where each weight has been sitting. So to set these up, pretty simple. You're going to need an Allen head, which is a 4mm and then an 8mm socket ratchet. And we're going to go ahead and go closest to the base for the 35s. Now when I do this, I don't know if it's required, they should all be the same, but I want to make sure that the bolt head and the Allen head are both on the same side. So we'll go ahead and get this done. Now I do know some brands they give you bolts, some brands they give you magnets, some brands, I don't know, stock ones don't give you anything. These are nylock nuts. So let me go ahead and get the other 3 done. And just like that, through editing magic, we are done. Now if you noticed, get the camera in here, put my stock weights back over there. All these are facing the same way. I don't know if that matters, but that's how I'm going to do it. And one last thing before I go over the machine, here are the pins. Got your circlip there. You know, you got a little wear, you see a little heat there. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take a Scotch-Brite just like this. I'm just going to polish these a little bit, clean them up, just to clean any debris out. I've gone ahead, I've already blown the clutch out with compressed air. You'd be amazed at how much debris and stuff gets in there. And just like that, not too shabby, right? A little bit of wear there where it was sticking, but much better than what it was. So we'll get this cleaned up and head over to the KRX. All right, over here at the KRX, let's go ahead and get these JBS weights installed. Now, a few things to note. First of all, mine's taken apart, and I'll show you that here in a second. Secondly, if you need to take your clutch cover off and then get the cage off, it's easier to do it if the KRX is on the ground. Because as you lift the KRX off the ground, it unloads the suspension and the wheels come inboard. So with the weight on the suspension, they're outboard and you can finagle everything out. So let's go ahead and look at it. So here is the primary clutch. As you can see, I have it numbered previously, so I know which weight goes where, and it will slide in and out really easy right here. So the weights go up in here, the pin will slide from here across, and I'll put the circle up over here, and it is directional, it only spins one way. Now here's the secondary clutch. As you can see, I use the JBS spreader bolt. It's a 17 millimeter, and I like it over the factory one because it's threaded all the way to the end. So I went ahead, I blew, like I said, I blew this all out, used a little brake cleaner. I made sure to take the G-Boost belt off right here. So let's go ahead and get this installed, take it for a test drive. So like I said, I have everything numbered. So here's number 4. I have the pins, they've all been cleaned. So it's gonna go ahead, set this in here. Slide the pin through, and then put the circlip on the other side. Make sure when you put your circlips on, you don't overextend them or bend them, because then they could end up coming off. Once it's in the groove, just rotate to the next one. Okay, all my weights are in, as you can see, 3 and 3. Now, the JBS kit runs a flatter profile, as I said earlier, so they say it's supposed to be smoother on your RPM. If you look, there's really no play in these weights, which is good. The tolerances are pretty good. What you hear is the actual clutch moving. Now, when reassembling it, from here, typically you put your primary spring back on. But according to JBS, they designed these weights to run without the primary spring. They said you could put the primary spring back in if you chose to, but I'm gonna run it the way they designed it. And if I don't like it, I'll put the spring back in. So for those of you wondering, this is your primary spring. It goes on right here, and then you would take your cover and you would put it on, compress it with your hands, and start your bolts. But we're gonna run it without. Now, when putting your cover on, don't forget, you see the arrow there, the arrow here, so you can go ahead, line those up. Now it's much easier to put this on with no primary spring. So I'll go ahead and I will put the bolts in and torque it down. And again, those new to the channel, I am running the Brute Performance bolts. And the only difference between these and the stock ones is it's got this flanged head, which will stop it from the cover from moving and wallowing out. The other ones are just hex heads. So let me go ahead and get that on, and we'll get those torqued. Everything's torqued down. Next thing I do is put the belt back on, and then the cage. So when you're putting your belts on, if you've never done this, it goes on this side first. Remember, I can do it one-handed. And then I will pull this out, and we'll just feed it over the secondary. There we go. I will pull this bolt out. For those not familiar with the cage here, it is 2 12 millimeter nuts, one there, and then 2 10 millimeter bolts there. Well, everything is put back together, bolts removed, tools put away. So last thing we gotta do is take it for a ride. But I'll show you one more time what it looks like reassembled. So we have the cage in place, everything's been torqued down. Got your belt here. Again, no primary spring in there, but maybe in the future I'll put it back in, and let's go see how smooth it is. Alright, well, let's let it warm up for just a minute before we get on it. Okay, so just put it in reverse. First thing I noticed, it's still cold. I just started it for about 15 seconds and it didn't jump backwards. Maybe because that primary spring's not in there. So I like that. first test drive, did about 4 miles, and so far I'm pretty happy with it. Smooth, should be, there's no grooves in the weights. I will end up doing a long-term review. Once I get 500, 600, 700 miles on them, I will blow them out every couple 100, 300 miles probably. That tends to help just keep the clutch area clean. Didn't notice any jerking, definitely no shifting because they're new. The power band seemed pretty smooth and linear, honestly. When I did get up to higher RPMs, it would jump up from about 7,000, rev up to 8,200, and then drop back down. But it wasn't a shift. It's hard to describe, but it just kind of kept it in that peak power area until you got all the way up to your red line. So far, so happy. I can tell, the engine braking is a little gone without that primary spring in there. So we'll see, maybe I'll throw that back in there and do some back-to-back runs. Cruising at 25 miles an hour. It does seem a little quieter. The RPMs are a little bit lower, but typically I drive with the headsets. My Clockworks windshield did awesome. The air was literally just hitting back here, top of my head. My glasses weren't flying around, so pretty happy with that. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, it was just gonna be a quick showing you what the JBS CLutch Weights look like, how to install them, and doing an initial test drive. Everything turned out really well. Time will tell, but I think they're gonna do pretty good. They look hardened, they have a nice coating on them. I mean, they can't be any worse than stock. Mine started shifting at 700 miles. So hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and until next time.